Very good morning and welcome to our commentary position here at ringside on Badminton Radio, looking out over a cloudy arena with people filing into their seats ready for the dressage on day one. Breezy, but the first rider is just entering the arena, and delighted to say joining me for the experts who will be guiding you through. It's a very warm welcome to Radio Badminton to Peter Storr. Delighted to have you as part of our team. And she's back.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Pammy Hutton is also back as well to enjoy the action. Nice to have you back, Pammy. Are you fired up? Have you had a busy year?
Yeah, fairly well. Good form. I am, yeah.
And Peter, looking forward to being part of Radio Badminton for the first time, but also looking at the dressage. You've obviously competed. Many people know that you've coached to a very high level. You've got some very good pony riders under you've been keeping an eye on. So I've done a bit of research about you.
All right.
So
yes,
you
good.
know what you're talking about. So, Pammy, we think we know what you're talking about.
Well, that's to be sort of decided over the next couple of days. But Peter's a little bit more important than you just said.
I know that.
Medalist pony riders.
Yep.
He did event in his distant past, probably very distant. Peter, was
Yes, it was very distant, yes.
Compete here?
No, he didn't.
No.
Well, you've got to ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. And now, the test. Talk about the test, which is going to be slightly, there's some modifications. So give us your expert analysis of what they've got to do that may be slightly different and any challenges along the way.
Okay, well, it's a new test. So, and I've read through it, and it looks a really nice flowing test. It's working at sort of advanced medium level with flying changes, half passes, shoulder ends, changes of pace. It looks a nice test, and it's got an interesting movement towards the end of the test where they ask for the horse to stretch on a long reining canter, and I think that will show up some training weaknesses with the horses that haven't been trained.
All strengths to stay positive on this first morning of Badminton Horse Trials. With our first competitor, Rupert. Are you going to tell us about...
Well, I will tell you about Lauren Kieffer, who is from America. Important if you like a Mars bar, because every time you do, you're swelling her family's bank balance, because she's a Mars bar heiress, it says here. But she is making her badminton debut. Part of a good number of Americans are here for Lauren Kieffer. Her horse is an 11-year-old grey, Landmarks Monte Carlo, and they were 18th at Kentucky last year, and they also won a CIC 3-star. That's the Jersey Fresh CIC 3-star in 2015.
And I think she normally finishes on a dressage score, I heard, on Radio Badminton early on.
Well,
but you're the statistic man.
I've got statistics coming out of
But we're going to listen to Peter while you open up your file on the entry, Peter.
Okay, so the horse is entering in collected canter, halting at eye, and then we should see a brisk move off into trot. Canter could be a little bit better quality. We're seeing the canter should be a 3-beat, and there it was a little bit lacking 3-beat. It was more like a 4-beat. Moving into a medium trot. And again, this is where the horse covers the ground, lengthens the step, and we would like to see a little more lengthening from this horse.
Then we're discovering a new line this year, a 3/4 line in shoulder in. Now she's just having a little bit of a problem, as can happen with a horse under a bit of tension. She asked for the right half pass after a right shoulder in on the 3/4 line, and it mistook the aids for canter.
I think this is going to be quite a tricky movement for some riders, because the aid for the half passes taking the outside leg back. There she didn't canter. The horse stayed in trot, could have more suppleness and losing some rhythm at times.
That's the losing rhythm is the tactful term for just a few uneven steps. It can happen when they bang their knees. And this horse is a little bit tight, Peter, would you say?
Absolutely.
Through the back.
So there...
Smooth.
Yeah, she's riding an extended trot there, and we really didn't see any lengthening at all. The horse becoming tight in the back and running.
God, I'm glad you're not
well,
judging me.
Do you know I've made
Jesus.
a mistake? Do you know I've made a mistake? It's not her who's the Mars bar area, it's the owner of the horse who's the Mars bar
You're
area.
just keen on your Mars bar.
I love my Mars bars.
Luckily, the judges gave it 6.5. We're beginning to get the tone this morning. We've got a very critical. Peter is a very good judge. He's a 4-star Grand Prix judge, waiting to be invited to 5-star, Rupert.
Well, I've just been told off by Pippa Room, who wrote the biogs in the Horse and Hound, and I didn't read it, and she's tweeted to me to tell me my facts. So, Pippa, I do apologise. I can only get better from here on in with my facts.
We are.
You see the level we're working at, Peter, okay?
Yes, I'm getting the picture now.
Right.
Well, Peter, you can say something good about this walk.
Yeah, we're looking at the extended walk here, and the horse should be covering the ground, stepping over the footprints of his 4 feet in the grass with his hind legs and the hind foot. And there we saw a nice ground cover and relaxation.
And one judge gave it an 8. The strike off into collected canter just showed that little bit of tension through the back again. But then these are completely different horses. When did you last judge event horses, Peter?
The silence there.
So you got 2 days of this, okay, Peter?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
To get my eye in.
Yeah, just take
Yeah.
off the rose glass.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or put them on. Do I
Oh,
need to
put them on. Yeah, I think you need to put them on.
I think he's sussed it quite quickly, hasn't he?
He's getting there.
Okay, and the extended canter, the horse should cover maximum amount of ground and stay with a slightly lengthened frame. There we saw a difference there, which was quite nice. And then the flying change is where the horse changes in midair from one leg to the other leg. You see, at the moment the horse is in left canter.
Doing a half pass, which is going sideways with the bend in the same direction. So it's looking left, going left. And this is not just Radio Badminton, Rupert, this year, is it?
No, we are streaming as well, so many people watching all over the world. So if you are joining us via wherever you're
This
watching.
new movement Peter was talking about.
This stretching of the neck in the canter. We saw a good difference there, didn't we? Perhaps she could have stretched a little more, but it still wasn't bad. Flying change of leg there, slight mistake. The horse was late in front.
Do you mark that down as severely as late behind? Or do you just mark it down to the same?
It's a mistake, isn't it? So it really is a mistake. I mean, one can say that one's
just a mistake.
Unengaged behind and one's on the shoulder. So they're both faults, aren't they?
Same fault?
Yeah, I would say so.
Mark-wise.
Yeah.
And the halt should be square, which means the hind legs together. It's just left out the right hind. Quite interesting how relaxed this horse is finishing the test. You just wonder whether she could, well, not the jockeys, of course, but could she have been a little braver?
Yeah, I mean,
perhaps just a little more impulsion?
yeah, I think at the start of it, the horse was a little bit tight and a little tense and not really swinging in the back. And I think that's maybe due to the atmosphere. This is a big atmosphere, isn't it? You know, for a lot of horses. I mean, even one of the dressage horses, they'd find this atmosphere quite a lot. People coming in and out of the stands now. But the horse seems fairly relaxed walking out.
I get butterflies every time I'm here.
And what would you... so first one, was that a good start? Where's your gut feeling there, score-wise?
I was told she'd get into the 50s.
I think is she looking at this, what about 40s?
I don't
think so
No,
quite.
the extensions... 50.6 she got. I think that the main problem there
Well, that wasn't a bad guess.
was the mistake in cantering in the half pass, the lack of extended trots. But the horse was in a fairly nice shape and nice frame. So I think that's a reasonable mark for what she did.
Right, this is my favourite rider, Rupert. Now, do get his facts right.
Well, he's called Mark Todd. He's 61, remarkably. And I'm going to mention this, what Pippa Room has written. He's a living legend. That's all probably you need to say about him. He is, well, he has set the standard, and here he is still as competitive on a horse that surely must have a chance here. And it is Leonidas, his 13-year-old bay gelding. And he has obviously competed with this horse 3 times here at Badminton with this horse, and must then, as a result, be in with a chance, you would have thought.
Well, I hope so. I've always been a great fan because I just think he's such a good, natural, all-round horseman. He could have done dressage. He did jump to Grade A.
He did do some dressage with Charisma,
Yeah.
years ago. He's an all-round horseman, isn't he?
He is.
And he scored last year in the dressage 44.8 with this horse, which was 1 point better than the score they had in 2015.
I think, it's just going to be a question of keeping him settled and a nice, obedient test. He certainly looks uphill outside. I'm glad to see the older riders sitting well, Peter. I must go home today and ride without my stirrups again.
It's a good job I'm not riding anymore, that's all I can say.
Well, I saw you on a horse the other day. Almost less said, the better.
But straighted, poor Peter.
Actually, she's quite true, actually. More like Humpty Dumpty on horseback these days, but...
Well, this man's not like Humpty Dumpty on a horseback, is he?
No, he looks amazing.
The first halt perhaps could have just been still for longer, but I know that feeling. You're almost better off just to allow it to go forward. That's humdingy mark for a halt that could have just stayed a little stiller for longer, but 2 7s and a 6.5.
And the medium trot there, the horse needed to really push along with the hind legs a bit more. He had the hind legs a little bit out behind him.
He rode a good transition.
Yeah, interesting that. I would have said he
Rode
rode
it
rough.
early.
Well, rough transition, I thought. I thought it was a bit sort of, it could have been smoother, because we're wanting to see the horse going from
In
a
a rhythm.
medium trot into a collected trot in the same rhythm. So obviously they're changing miles per hour, aren't they?
But you know what I'm going to do?
They're tightening.
You see, this is why I don't judge, because the flow and the uphillness is getting the 8s and the 7.5s. And I'd have to spend so long trying to put all my words into the positive, Peter, whereas all you have to say is lack rhythm. 7, 7.5 and 8 from the judge at M.
That was a better transition at the end of his extended trot.
Just a pity that the halt isn't square. The rein-back's nice. Can you see it through the box, Peter?
Just about, yes. Nice clear steps. And into a nice ground covering medium walk. Medium. Here we have to show just medium and extended walk. Medium should have a moderate ground cover and over track, where again we talked before about the hind legs stepping over the tracks of the forefeet, and into an extended walk. And the one thing that I think is outstanding in this walk is the clear forebeat. It's a really ground covering, loose, elastic.
Oh, you're cheering up now.
Well, I can't say nice things when it's not nice.
No, of course. But you can term it nicely.
Okay.
He's now playing the game.
Ooh,
Peter, he knows what he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
He's
that's
getting
it,
there.
That's it.
well, he commentated at Rio for the Grand Prix dressage, and that is a really serious game. And no jokes allowed, I shouldn't think.
No.
This is getting solid 7.5s to 8s. Can you agree with all of this, Peter?
I can. I think he's doing a good job. Really good job. The horse is a very nice horse. It's got 3 very nice paces.
It's attractive.
And it's got a nice uphill tendency, hasn't it? Really nice.
And that's nice. You want to see the flying change on the line, Peter, don't you?
Yes.
Might you've given it the 9 if it just gone for a couple of strides longer?
Yeah, probably from where the judges are sitting, they won't be able to see it. It was like a half a metre before. But we didn't get, we got a 6 and a 7, actually, for the flying change. I thought the flying change was good.
A little bit of tension, perhaps just not quite as steady to the contact. And I know it's not chucking its head, but could that rein have been longer?
Yeah, the horse didn't really stretch down enough there. It'll be interesting to see the marks that Mark gets for that movement. Nice clean flank change.
Expressive. Scoreboard's got stuck.
I think the judges are thinking about what mark to give that.
That's nice. They're very good flying changes.
Yes,
why not 9?
Well, exactly. I'm surprised why they got 7s, really. They were good quality changes with good jump in the air, weren't they?
I would have thought so. Sure, we'll see a lot worse. Now, this is collected trot. Rhythm a little quick, coming down the centre line.
Yeah, I felt the horse was getting a little tired and was losing his self-carriage. What we mean by self-carriage is where the horse seems to be carrying himself. There I felt that Mark was having to help him maintain the uphill outline.
Yeah, I think that crept in the last few movements, but it was a nice test. Lots of high marks, so this has got to be a 40s.
So where in the 40s?
I don't know. It just depends. We are minus the last 4 lot of marks, which influence. Well, Peter, you know more about this. Are they ×2 at the end?
Yeah. So basically, we have the judges give marks for each movement in the test, and then at the end of the test, they have 4 extra marks. Where they mark the horse for the paces, which is the freedom and regularity, impulsion, which basically is the way the horse is he supple in the back, is he elastic in the steps, does he use his hind legs well enough, and then the submission, where that's about how the horse mentally is responding to the rider and staying with the rider on the aid, so that's attention and confidence, and also about the way the horse accepts the contact and the bridle. And then the final mark, again out of 10, is for the rider and the position of the rider. So we can see here that at the moment the horse is getting an 8 for submission from the judge at B, even, and the rider's getting an 8.5, an 8 and 7.5.
73.04, which translates to...
That's going to be a reasonably good mark, isn't it? I
think so.
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting on the final mark. Coming into the arena, this is an interesting one. Alexander Bragg, who is a first-timer, finished 5th at Pau. He's 36, former farrier, former rugby player, now turned eventer, going to be part of a GB Nations Cup squad. So probably quite a lot of expected of him if you finished 5th at Pau.
I can't see the score. Can you beat it?
Yeah, he's got a 41.6.
Oh, that is his best badminton score on this horse by a long way. 3 points, nearly 3 points better. So a wonderful effort from Mark Todd. So fair play. Todd is off to a flyer. But as I say, next into the arena is Alexander Bragg from Somerset. And, as I say, played rugby to a very decent standard. But that was a few years ago. Took up eventing after his wife became pregnant. He's ridden before, but has gone at it very seriously. And now, as I say, will be...
Well, looks really nice going around the arena, Peter, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice position.
In a top hat, one of the tall ones. Which, are we still allowed to ride in Grand Prix if we want to?
Yes, you are allowed to still ride in.
Mine's a bit moth-eaten. It's a bit old.
It's a bit like that saddle you had, wasn't that from the 50s?
Got a new saddle.
You have?
A new saddle for this year.
Can't believe it.
Yeah. I heard you ask my daughter to video me in sitting trot, see how many feet I left the saddle per beat. It's a bit rude, wasn't it? Oh.
Clearly, you two get on well.
Well, she has been riding in this saddle, which was ancient. It was like almost pre-war.
Well, let's get back to Zagreb and Alexander Bragg rather than the state of Pammy's saddle.
What I was going to do was to very nearly say to Peter, if Alexander was called Mark Todd, we've not got a single mark up on the sheet, but from going around to entering, an absolutely steady contact, an excellent rhythm. this is a very impressive test, following on from the one before. We don't know of him. Do judges pay any attention to names, Peter?
Well, they shouldn't do.
Do you?
No, of course I don't.
Before I ruin your entire reputation live on air.
I think you've got to judge what you see.
Well, this is, for those that are watching and have watched the first test, at the beginning of this test, this is just 0.5 in places ahead of Mark's test.
They scored 43 in Poe in the dressage, where they eventually finished fifth.
He's got a little bit more range, hasn't he?
I mean, yes, it's showing a really good range in the extended trot there. Really, you can see the horse really pushing from behind. Fairly square halt.
3, 4, 5. Is it 5 steps? It's good if I learnt the test, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, so the Rainback started well, started to lose a bit of straightness as he continued it.
Now, tell us about this walk, Peter.
Right.
She says with a slight worry, just in the collected walk, and the little bit here too.
Extended walk from here looks okay, covering the ground.
Okay, then I think there was a little bit of tension in the collected walk. I'm not saying that it's not correct, but it's just not quite as correct as could be. I'm not saying it's lateral. Had a tiny bit of stiffness in the beginning.
Yeah, okay, so perhaps we should just sort of make it clear what we're talking about here, Pammy. So
Quickly, because you're doing a brilliant medium.
Lateral walk is where the horse loses the rhythm, and instead of it being a 4-beat
It goes
pace,
to dunk,
it goes to 2-beat.
or just in the middle. It can do. It can be slightly suspicious. I had a judge right.
Yeah.
Late behind change, spoilt the flying change of F after a good extended canter. So his walking canter isn't quite as impressive as the trot, which sometimes can happen when you're training horses. By the walk and by the canter, and the trot will make. Better change at the end of that. It's smooth. You're still getting good marks. Canter was the flying change I felt was a little flatter than the previous one. There's a bit of a difference here with the 5s and the 7s. So Emin isn't in agreement with E. C is hedging her bets.
Okay, so interestingly enough, the judge M gave a low mark for that flying change, which was correct. The flying change was a correct flying change, and he gave a low mark to say it wasn't. But they are sitting on the diagonal line, so they can only see the change from behind.
I love you.
So that's why...
Can you, when you're training, see a late behind change when you're training?
Yes.
On that line?
Yes.
Right. So you've just answered the question.
I'm trying to be nice.
You're trying to be tactful.
Yes.
Lose the tact, Peter.
Yeah.
So actually,
Lose the tact.
but that judge may have seen a crooked flying change.
That there I could vouch for.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to get at, is that the judge...
But I do
giving a
hate
lower
the
mark.
term. I was sitting in a different place, and that was why my mark was different to the judge at C
Yes, exactly.
as a competitor.
A nice square hole to
Yeah.
finish.
So this won't be quite as marks. It should still be into the 40s.
Well, he's got lots of supporters in the crowd, it would seem, for the first timer Alexander Bragg. Maybe into the 40s. Well, the man who definitely is into the 40s is Mark Todd. Let's go and join Piggy French for the first time.
I'm joined now by Mark Todd, or Sir Mark Todd, should I say, or Toddy known to us. But this horse is on great form, and that just looked a lovely test.
I was thrilled with him. I think it's the best test he's done. He, for the first time in his life, he actually felt pretty rideable in the arena, so I was really chuffed. I'm just so annoyed with myself for holding in the wrong place at the end.
Oh my gosh. Well, looking at the list, you are sandwiched between two first-timers, and you certainly aren't a first-timer, but does it feel the same preparing for this event as it always has done, or do you feel different over the years about it?
No, I think every time you come here, it's like a new experience. So still get the same buzz, still get the same excitement. I guess there's some advantages of having been here for so long, but we walked the course yesterday, and when you walk that course for the first time, it doesn't matter how many times you've been here, it still looks big.
Yes, I've heard it's very big. Well, we can't wait to watch you for the rest of the week. You're an asset to the whole eventing, and we're very excited to see you again here.
Thanks.
And that is Mark Todd talking to Piggy French, who will be in the collecting ring. And if you've got any questions for our esteemed commentators, Peter Storr and Pammy Hutton, then do tweet us at BHT Radio. Any questions, they're here to help and advise. I'm sure they're happy to pass on any valuable tips that you may need to help you with your dressage at whatever level you are currently competing at. So please do tweet us at BHT Radio. We'd love to hear from you. And Alexander Bragg's score is 44.9, which for a first-timer at Badminton, I think
It was impressive.
There was a 9 there as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, the judges used their marks from 5 to 9s. The last hole got quite rightly a 9. So yeah, it was good.
Didn't quite match his pose score, which was 43, but all the same, that is still a good start. Now, I think she's got a couple of broken ribs. Matt Ryan was telling me yesterday at the Trot Up. Louise Harwood.
Oh, I wouldn't want to jump around Badminton with a couple of broken ribs.
Well, I wouldn't want to get on a horse doing dressage with 2 broken ribs, if you please.
Which would be worse?
Would you, Peter, have you ridden with broken ribs?
I have, and it's so painful.
Louise Harwood is on Whitsun, so we'd offer metaphorical caps to her because she's quite a tough cookie, is Louise, and she is on board her first of 2 entries, and she's obviously competed here a few times as well. And I think her best results is she was 23rd back in 2007 on Partly Pickled, when she was also the best first timer.
That's a good halt.
Yeah, nice and square, good move off.
Where's that medium trot start, Peter?
It starts at S.
Oh, it does start at S.
And that's not
and
an
then
easy
P
line.
to F. So a bit of a dog leg. They've taken out the first bit.
No, not really. It's PF. SF.
Oh,
it's just
so
a
she
shorter
returned
diagonal.
early. A bit early. Good flow in the half pass. She's got lots of oomph.
It's an impressive horse, isn't he?
Yeah, I have watched this horse before, and when she rode into the arena, I thought, wow, this is looking a great deal better. He's a huge horse for her to get really organised, together, connected, and uphill.
She looks like she's doing a good job.
Well, I would say she's done just that.
Some 6.5s for the shoulder in. I think she had a little bit of a wobble.
I think the shoulder ins on the 3/4 line are very exposed now. When you ride it on the outer track, some riders don't ever even use their outside leg. But to ride a shoulder in on a 3/4 line, I think we need 2 reins and 2 legs, don't we, Peter?
Yeah, it's demonstrating the control of the shoulders, isn't it? And the being able to place your horse on the line, really.
What about the hindquarters popping out more than you want them?
Yes, there is that.
What are we being asked?
Nothing. Just the TV director who I know who's saying he's hanging on your every word. Thank you, Jerry. Because, of course, we are broadcasting not only on Badminton Radio, but we're also live at various places all over the shop, really. And welcome wherever you're listening, watching to us here, whether you're in the grounds or far afield.
Do you think we have to get the sunglasses out yet?
Not sure.
Nearly. Sun's trying to break through at Badminton Horse Trials. 'Tis cold this year. So bring lots of coats. The test Peter is just sort of declined slightly to the 5s and the 6s.
Yeah, there was some tension in the extended walk, the horse not really letting go and covering enough ground. A slight mistake in the flying change. It's a nice positioning for the half pass to the right.
Do you think it's straight there now? I'd bet $1 that the quarters are to the right.
Yes.
On the centre line.
And what the judges are also looking for is the straightness after the half pass down the centre line.
And there the quarters are still to the right, aren't they?
They are. You can also see slightly pushing himself on the left shoulder.
You're going to worry about shoulders. I'm going to worry about hind ends. We'll just about get this collared by the end.
Nice flying change. And again, you can see her really positioning the horse, so he's bending to the left, looking in the direction he wants to go in the half pass. And we can see here that she's much straighter on the centre line after the half pass.
Yep, still just the one wobble, an interruption at the beginning of that line as she was going to give the rein. I think he thought he was off in extended canter.
It almost looked like she forgot, because that movement should start at C, and so she was very slow to start that.
And then this flying change. This year we have not only a fence that makes it a little bit difficult to view from where we're sitting, but the judges' box has moved from B to E. Mr. Thomas, not greatly easy.
You've always got up my own at poor old you.
I know. He's been to say hello already.
You're doing a demonstration later, aren't you?
Yeah, he told me to wrap it up as quickly as we could and not to be boring.
Well,
Good
Louise...
square halt. Now, what happened in that flying change, Peter? I blinked and missed it. 2 5s and a 7. Which one was right?
I don't know, really, because I missed it as well.
Well, our commentators, Pammy Hutton and Peter Storr, are right on the money. So, and notice they didn't ask me whether I'd noticed, because
No,
I
would
missed
know.
I wouldn't have a Scooby-Doo. But anyway, Louise Harwood exits the arena. And next in, we'll have another first-timer, Cedric Liard from France. Let's hear, though, from the first-timer who's completed his dressage and rejoined Piggy.
I'm now joined by Alexander Bragg. First timer here.
Yeah.
Great story behind you getting here and everything.
Yeah.
How is the whole badminton experience for you?
Well, you know, you get here, it's really impressive. The main arena is just something else, you know, this and Burley are just like so special. And yeah, I mean, I'm just thrilled to be here. And my horse is feeling in super condition, so I'm actually excited. You know, I was a little bit nervous, but it's more excitement.
And he looked great in there.
Yeah.
You're pleased with his performance?
Yeah, do you know, at this stage, you know, we had one season last year, then we're working and improving. We've got stuff to fix and make better, but he's gone in there, he's listened to me, he's delivered the best that I think he can do at the moment, but it's only going to get better, and I think I did have just over a 70% test, so I'm thrilled, really.
Well, you didn't look like badminton first-timers anyway, and we're looking forward to watching you out there on Saturday and wish you the very best of luck.
Yeah, thank you, I'll need it. Cheers, Piggy.
Well, Alexander Bragg talking to Piggy French, and very pleased. Now, I've got a question for you, Peter. That's come in. I don't know who it's come from Polly Edis, who has sent in a tweet, and she would say, what would you do to stop him loading that shoulder and losing hindquarters? Now, hashtag not straight. But I don't know who she's referring to, but in the gist of what you get the gist of the question.
Yes, I think the problem is when a horse isn't straight, it's quite often appears like it's not straight because the quarters are in, but actually the horse is probably over bending a little bit to one side or the other with the neck, which causes the shoulder to fall out. So it's keeping the neck a little straighter, perhaps, to control the shoulder.
Right. I think I get what you're saying. If I look blank, Peter, just it's something going on inside, okay?
Yeah.
Do you get the drift?
Yes, okay.
Okay. But next into the arena, first-timer from France. And, of course, France, what a golden year they had. But Cedric Liard, 45 years of old, on his horse Cadeau de Roy, who's a 15-year-old grey gelding. And they have competed at 4-star, this horse, but never here at Badminton. And they did score. He has scored with this horse 39.6 at Burghley in 2015. And then they finished on 50.8 that year at Burghley. So obviously on that at Burghley evidence we could see this one challenging Mark Todd's lead today.
A nice straight entry and a balanced halt. Quite a direct move off.
We've got to cheer you up a bit, Peter. Do you know what I was told to give you for breakfast? I was bought this bottle of wine to give you.
Oh, right.
Sancerre.
Okay. Oh, yes, that looks quite posh.
Yeah. Peter's too serious. Well, I promise you, that was courtesy of Radio Badminton.
Oh, that's very nice for Radio Badminton. Well, we can...
That's if we get desperate.
Right. Anyway, let's worry about Cedric Liard and how he's going to get on, because obviously maybe we expect a good score here.
You see, I never know who horses are, and I nearly did judge. I'm supposed to be a candidate at FEI, something about 3-star. But I find this a little bit disappointing in the uphillness, and so now I'm being a bit critical, a little bit of unevenness in the left half pass. Yeah, but it's not an easy, huge moving horse.
No, it's going nicely to the contact. It's a little bit long in the frame, perhaps, and could be a little more uphill. And again, we really want to see the horse pushing a little bit more equally from behind. And there was a loss of balance and a loss of rhythm in the steps there, so that will be a low mark.
Do you think it affects judges if you've seen two great big scopy moving horses, and then we've got what is a very nice horse? It's at ease, it's got its ears pricked, the tail's quiet, there's no major resistances, but it's just not as impressive looking.
Of course it's going to affect the judges, because they've seen a really good one with really good movement and power, and this horse doesn't have quite the same, but it's doing a fairly correct test. And we're seeing a good rhythm in the extended walk, could have more ground cover.
The judges' E on the whole is marking a little bit higher today. They're being quite consistent. Oh, I spoke too damn soon.
Love it when you do that.
Well, always, don't you, you know? Judge at M's cheered up now to a 7 with two other 6.5s. This test sort of getting the 6s, 0.5s to the 7s in walk and trot. Now we've got the first solid 7s in canter. Tell me about the change, Peter.
The change could have been a little more balanced. I was looking at him the way he was setting up the change. He didn't look like he really set the change up enough.
It was a bit short, wasn't it?
It was a little.
Are we allowed to?
Yeah, it was slightly short behind. And slightly out of balance, wasn't it?
It was. So many things to look for when you're judging, and I think that this is the reason why it all comes so under the microscope, because these penalty points, every single mark eked out in this arena, is so important running forward to the cross-country day and the show jumping day, although I hear it's not a dressage competition. Rupert, you've heard that, haven't you?
I've definitely heard that it's not a dressage competition. Piggy French was saying earlier, Matt Ryan, who walked the course part.
Do you want the nose in front of the vertical? Sorry to interrupt.
In the stretching,
nearly.
You would want it a little bit taking the rein forwards. That definitely wasn't enough there with that particular horse. But, I mean, so long as they stretch the neck down and forwards, that's the main thing.
Just changes the rhythm slightly. Going into the change, through the change.
Yeah, that probably the last one was probably the best timing he's done. I thought his changes are a little bit out of time. not quite on the aid.
And you're wanting to drink French wine later.
Entente cordiale.
From France?
And Cedric Liard completing his first dressage test at Badminton on his horse that he finished 5th
It
at
was smooth.
Burley, and that was his best ever 4-star result.
I heard you say he was fit.
So
He would want to be a little bit higher with the marks, I think, but you just don't know what's going to happen on Saturday.
you don't. And, well, big and bold is what it's called, and there's some proper examinations. So
Well, somebody thought there wouldn't be many more than about 15, 18 clear.
but how many inside the time as well, which might be the key factor.
I haven't listened to Matt Ryan for long enough to get that inside information.
Well, and Piggy will be walking the course later, but Cedric Liard comes out of the arena, part of a strong French contingent that will be competing here, and he's also got another horse who will be going tomorrow, Qatar de Push Rouget, who is running tomorrow. Do keep your questions coming into us at BHT Radio, wherever you are listening to us. And Polly was delighted to get some information. We had a text. Polly's not doing much for the next couple of days. She says Badminton Radio is the best value going. And of course, if you're listening in the car, pick up one of the headsets for £9. And it's £9, I should say. I've been
That's
told.
because I threw you off your stroke.
Yes.
Because somebody said to me, great commentary, even if neither of you are watching.
Oh, well, that makes 3 of us, actually, who are not watching. If you are just tuning in, we have Pammy Hutton, and joining us for the first time, delighted to say, but he's already in the groove, Peter Storr is here, and I'm Rupert Bell, guiding you through the action here, and Mark Todd has set the early pace with the score of 41.6. What was the score of Cedric there? I can't. I've got a pole right in the way of the score.
Yes,
47.5.
Have you got the pole
Yes, I
blocking
have.
you, Peter? Are you all right?
47.5, no.
I can see them. Yeah.
Right, you're going to be
Peter
my
hasn't got a
scoreboard
pole.
man then, because we have I did 47.5. So putting him into 3rd is the score for Cedric
It
Liard.
was all right.
No.
Just not one to get really excited about.
Are you going to get excited about Andrew Hoy, who is competing on this horse, who has competed at...
I always get excited about Andrew Hall.
Well, I don't know about getting excited. The horse is certainly looking excited
It is.
anyway.
And the horse is Blue Frontier, a 16-year-old grey gelding. And just looking...
Well, I owe Andrew Hoy my ticket that I was eventually allowed because I was the cheapest trainer left. So I was allowed a ticket and I went to Barcelona.